Good afternoon. I'm Adair Burrows, the U.S. Attorney for the District of South Carolina. I'm joined here with Special Agent in Charge of the FBI, Steve Jensen, SLED Chief Mark Keel, York County Sheriff Tony Breeden, representatives from the Nigerian Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the U.S. Foreign Service in Nigeria, as well as the Guffey family from Rock Hill. Today, a Nigerian national was arraigned in federal court here in Columbia on 5 charges related to the sextortion scheme that resulted in the death of a South Carolina teen. The indictment alleges that Hussein Boone Hussein Lawal, who is 24 years old, posed as a teen girl online. He then coerced and enticed 17-year-old Gavin Guffey to send compromising photos. Once received, he harassed, taunted, and extorted Gavin, demanding money or the photos would be shared with family members and classmates. In July of 2022, Gavin died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Lawal's crimes did not stop there. The indictment further alleges that in the days after Guffey lost their son, Lawal continued to threaten and extort Gavin's family members, including by threatening to harm the public reputation of the Guffey family unless they gave in to his demands for money. Today, our pursuit of justice and accountability takes a major step forward. Lawal was extradited from Nigeria and brought here to Columbia to face charges. I hope the message is clear. If you use the internet to exploit children in our state, you will be held accountable here in our courts. We will not allow predators to hide behind a keyboard or across an ocean. I want to thank the York County Sheriff's Department, who were the first responders, thank SLED and FBI for the incredible amount of hours of investigative work, to our AUSAs, Elliot Daniels and Lothrop Morris, for their ongoing work in this prosecution. I want to especially thank, with us here today, the Nigerian EFCC, the Nigerian Office of the Attorney General, Ministry of Justice, and the United States Foreign Service in Nigeria for their help in identifying, apprehending, and extraditing Lawal. Sextortion is claiming too many young lives, and I would like to say to the public, we need your help. Parents and caregivers, please start this conversation with your children. Predators are on social media platforms, they are on gaming sites, they are online in chat rooms. Anywhere where you can communicate with people on the internet, you will find predators. Explain to children that strangers online may not be who you think they are. Tell your children never to share personal information like their real name, their school, their home address, or photos with strangers online. And if they find themselves in a difficult situation, talk to a trusted adult. While we cannot change what happened to Gavin, we can warn others. To Mr. and Ms. Guffey, you have fought so hard to keep Gavin's case in the spotlight to save other kids. We have all watched as you have turned a tragedy into something that has made our state a safer place for others. May he rest in peace knowing that his family loved him beyond measure. He must be so proud to have you as parents. You have our continued support and admiration, and we will continue to work to seek justice for Gavin. Next, I'd like to turn it over to Special Agent in Charge of the FBI, Steve Jensen.
Thank you, Adair. Some of my comments will echo what U.S. Attorney Burrows just said. First and foremost, today's a good day. As she said, I'm Steve Jensen, the Special Agent in Charge of the FBI Columbia Field Office. And today represents a step forward in justice, holding accountable the man charged with the egregious sextortion that resulted in Gavin Guffey taking his own life. To the Guffey family, we know that the pain from your loss endures, and the tragedy has been difficult to overcome. But it's our hope that this moment brings you a measure of solace. As alleged in the indictment, the defendant, while in Nigeria, hid behind a screen and terrorized Guffey, his family, and friends by threatening to release harmful images of him. These alleged actions are reprehensible, and there is zero tolerance for predatory behavior going unchecked. We would not have arrived at this point without the thorough and diligent investigation by our team working hand in glove with the York County Sheriff's Department and SLED. I want to emphasize our task force officer from the Sheriff's Office was at the helm of this investigation, giving true meaning to why our partnerships are pivotal in carrying out our mission of protecting the American people and upholding the Constitution. This case is unique in the sense that we have brought a defendant to Nigeria to answer for charges here in the United States. Last Thursday, an FBI agent and a task force officer traveled to Nigeria and returned with the defendant on Saturday. This action alone demonstrates the broad reach of the FBI, leveraging foreign partnerships in our international offices to investigate and facilitate the custody of subjects who face criminal charges in the United States. We're grateful for our team, including FBI Headquarters Criminal Investigative Division, Violent Crimes Against Children Section, and the International Operations Division Africa Unit, as well as the FBI Legat Office in Abuja, Nigeria. And finally, I want to recognize and thank Nigeria's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Foreign Service National Investigator assigned to this case. Without your partnership and efforts, this wouldn't have been possible. In closing, I'd also like to take a moment to caution parents and guardians. Unfortunately, sextortion cases are and have been on the rise. The prolific nature of these crimes and the ease of access that predators have to children through social media, games, and applications provides channels for them to exploit their trust and prey on vulnerabilities. Your proactive engagement now may prevent future victimization of our children. I encourage you to visit fbi.gov to see the vast resources we have available on this topic. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you to the investigators for their efforts. And I'd like to turn it over to my partner, Chief Keel.
How you doing, Mark Keel, Chief of SLED. And I want to share my heartfelt condolences as well to the family of Gavin Guffey. The Guffeys have endured heartbreak that no parent should ever have to endure. The family's response to this unimaginable tragedy has been nothing short of inspiring. We will never know how many kids the Guffey family has saved in their passionate pursuit of justice for Gavin. What we do know is that they will not stop. You can no longer hide in the basement in a faraway country without fear of being arrested, extradited, and brought here to face the families of those you've torn apart. Law enforcement will not stop going after criminals who prey on our most vulnerable, our children. This case shows how strong the relationships are in law enforcement in dealing with complex cases. Thanks to local, state, and our federal partners working together, we're one step closer to getting justice for Gavin. Thank you.
I've personally known the Guffey family for 30 years, and they've always been a special part of our lives. And first thing I want to do is I want to thank the FBI and Chief Keel and all the people that cooperated on this. I also recognize some of the leadership at York County throughout this whole process, Major Moore, Captain Neely, and the investigators, Director Hamilton, Lieutenant Clark, and Detective Robinson, that have put countless hours on this. And I think, to me, the most encouraging thing in it is that we have drawn a line in the sand in the battle of good and evil for our children. And I think that the message we said early on was that we would hunt somebody down to the ends of the earth if they hurt our kids. And this just proves it. And I think it's the coalition and everybody working together that does it. And we're just, I remember Brandon told me the night it happened he would not stop until this day. And I've never been more proud of anybody in my life than Brandon Guffey and the entire family.
I'm going to try to get through this without crying. First of all, I want to thank everyone involved, from the U.S. Attorney's Office to our local law enforcement, our SLED, and even the Nigerian government with their assistance as well. This whole process just the beginning of the next fight. It's time for us to really send that message. We brought Lawal here to hold him accountable for his crimes. And we will continue to fight to not only save kids like Gavin, but to save any additional kids that might feel the way that Gavin did before he took his life. Throughout this entire process, I've gained very special relationships with many of the people involved. We joked because I recognized our U.S. attorney whenever I first came in because we went to middle school together for a very brief time, and I recognized her. And as we sat down with Elliot and his team in Luthrop, I've grown very close. But with Agent Hamilton, where's he at? His work, his constant calls, his constant support, it's created a brotherhood that I'm forever grateful for. And our Sheriff Breeden, not only Sheriff Breeden, but our previous Sheriff Tolson, and the way that he was handling this situation. But as Tony said, we were friends from the beginning, and Tony spent many nights with me at the house while I'm struggling, trying to figure out how to move forward with losing a child. But it's a special day to know that we're going to get some type of justice or beginning that fight. So thank you for everyone. Thank everyone for their support. And I look forward to continuing fighting. If you know me, you know I like to fight. So thank y'all.
We're happy to take a few questions if you'd like.
Can you expand a little bit? Guys from the Herald in Rock Hill.
Yes, sir.
Can you talk about the government spoke in the court session about aiding and abetting and possibly other defendants? Can you talk about other defendants and if the process is ongoing to find and extradite them?
We cannot talk about any other defendants at that time. As you'll notice, the indictment is redacted. Part of it is still sealed, and we cannot speak about any parts that are sealed.
Is this the first case for the U.S. Attorney's Office of South Carolina in terms of linking up with the Nigerian government, bringing someone here to South Carolina in a sextortion case?
It is the first in a sextortion case, yes.
And can you expand a little bit more on the uniqueness of it in the case of being able to bring someone here to South Carolina, the family can finally see the person who is behind the computer?
Yes, I'll echo what our law enforcement partners have said. It took so many people to make this happen. And we absolutely could not have done it without our law enforcement partners in Nigeria. No way. We could not have done it with the FBI and their partnerships in Nigeria. It took a lot of collective effort to make this happen and to have things fall into place where we obtain all of the evidence that we need to, even evidence in a foreign country and digital evidence. So it took a lot of effort, and there were a lot of people putting in tons of man hours to make this happen, and we are so grateful to all of them that did.
I know we can't talk about pending legislation, but as far as the tools you needed to actually prosecute this case, there's been a flurry of bills over the last couple of years in this area. Are any of the charges here related to any recently enacted legislation? Did you guys already have the tools you needed to do this?
So you're right, I'm not allowed to speak on legislation. The statutes that we charged under here had to do with enticing a minor, with the production of child porn, with the distribution of child porn, with cyber stalking, and with threats using interstate commerce. Those were the statutes that we used.
And have they been available have they been at your disposal for years, or have they been implemented in the last several years?
They have been for some amount of years. I can't tell you how many, but we could look it up and let you know.
Gosh, thank you.
As far as the decision to not pursue the death penalty, is that because there's no death penalty in Nigeria, or what came to that decision?
The Nigerian government, in agreeing to extradite Lawal, part of that agreement is that we would not seek the death penalty, and we will honor that commitment.
Hi, Joe Bruno from Channel 9 in Charlotte. Just talk about what the process is even like to go to Nigeria, identify a suspect in Nigeria, and bring him back to South Carolina.
I'm going to let FBI speak to that, if you want to.
Sure. So while I won't talk about the specifics of what was done in this case, it's like identifying a subject in any investigation. There's a bread trail left behind by every subject, digital dust, if you will. Following that digital dust, passing it off to our partners in Nigeria. And I'll note the FBI has over 70 international offices for this purpose, to leverage federal investigative resources with partners internationally to protect United States citizens. And that's exactly what we did here. And it's through U.S. legal process, honored by the Nigerian government, and with Nigerian government legal process to build a better investigation.
It seems like a really strong message the sheriff just reiterate that you really will travel to the ends of the earth if you have information that will lead to somebody being in custody for something.
Absolutely travel to the ends of the earth to find justice for our victims and bring justice to those who preyed on innocents. And I would say without our partnerships, state, local, federal, and international, we wouldn't be able to do it.
When did the FBI identify that the law was behind the accounts?
Those are details of the investigation I can't get into.
How many people have been extradited from Nigeria in connection with sextortion schemes apart from the law?
That's a great question, and I couldn't answer that. I don't have those details available.
But others have been?
I know other jurisdictions have successfully extradited individuals from Nigeria for sextortion schemes.
It's not very common. This isn't unusual.
I would say extraditing individuals is less common, only because the governments have to agree on the charges, like U.S. Attorney Burroughs just went into, and that we honor those agreements.
And is there more, last question, is there more than one defendant out there that you haven't?
Can't speak to the number of defendants, but I can speak to our process. We fully investigate the crime that was committed. We look for additional victims and any associates that facilitated that crime, and we won't stop till we're done. Yes, sir.
I have another question, and it's a York County question for Sheriff Frieden and/or yourself. And again, Andrew Dice from the Herald. Gavin's Law was enacted in South Carolina state law a year and a half ago, 2023, so the crime predates Gavin's Law. My presumption is, about years ago, that that cannot be used in this case. However, there are many other CSC crimes and sexual exploitation crimes in state court that can be used, appear to be able to be used in this case. Is that a plan for either the 16th Circuit Solicitor, the Attorney General, or the federal government to go after those states then?
It's a great question. I would defer to either Chief Keel. Sorry. I dropped somebody's microphone. I would defer to Chief Keel, but what I can tell you, what we did in the FBI through the U.S. Attorney's Office is use already on the books child sex abuse statutes to effect this arrest and bring this individual to justice. As far as the state charges, Chief Keel?
I would just say I can't tell you how many times, obviously, that charge has been used, or Gavin's Law has been used since it's been enacted. It has been utilized since then, but it would not apply in this particular case in Gavin's. It would not apply in this particular case.
Okay. What about other sexual exploitation, first, second, and third, that is used often by your office, the digital forensic unit at the sheriff's office, and other law enforcement to go after these kind of things?
That it would be applied in those type cases.
So is it possible that there might be a parallel investigation and charging in the state court?
In this particular case?
Yes.
I doubt it very seriously.
Are there any suspects in this particular case that are from South Carolina?
We've already answered that. We don't have any other suspects we can speak to. One more.
Representative Guffey, and this might be a good way to end it. Would you mind just sharing more about Gavin, his legacy, just for people? You know, this story will have national impact. And what would you like people to know about your son?
One of the things I said at his funeral, through meeting and discussing with many of the teens at the funeral, was that Gavin seemed to bring joy to everyone. You know, you didn't meet people that just didn't have a story about Gavin. He went off the beat of his own drum. You know, he would make costumes and wear them to school. He sticker bombed everything. One of the things I started doing with the foundation is driving a bus around and talking to kids about mental health, and we call it the struggle bus, and they sticker bomb it. You know, those are, I'm constantly myself. If you'll notice, I wear some tennis shoes, or I'll wear a tie even whenever throughout my daily life to remind me to calm down and realize what I'm doing, and to focus more on trying to protect other kids like Gavin. Gavin just lit up a room, I guess is the best way to put it. Always joking, loved art, loved music, movies. I think since he was a little tyke, he was filming, he would make Lego movies. But yeah, just a light. And not somebody that you would ever, that's what makes the crime of sextortion so horrific. Throughout all these parents, I think there's been over 40 deaths of teens publicly since Gavin. And whenever I have talked with these parents and worked with these parents, the common theme is no one thought that their kids were in a bad space whenever this happened. And the crime just targets your deepest, darkest shame, and kids don't feel like there's another way out. But you as the media, we as public officials play a part in that because we're too busy kicking people whenever they're down. And we have forgotten grace in this country. And it's the one thing that we need to understand, that the mistakes that we made are not who we are, but help us become who we will be. And, I went to, and we'll wrap up on this, but I went to NCMEC, the Hope Awards, a few months ago, and John Walsh was there, and they were talking at the awards. The one thing I could think of was how proud Adam would be for the amount of kids that the Walshes have been able to save. And that's the only thing that I can focus. I can't save Gavin, but I can hope to save other kids in pushing forward and not let that light be extinguished. We need more light in this world. Thank you.